Hello and welcome to Off-Grid Solitude. My name is Joe, and today I'm going to talk about designing my off-grid house. I've just started building. I've cleared a pad and done some trenching for the plumbing, and I've just started pouring the foundation. When designing my house, I have two main considerations. Number one is that I'm doing this all by myself, so any techniques I pick have to be able to be done single-handedly. And number two is I'm broke as a joke. So this has to be done as cheap as possible. Balancing these two can be a little bit tricky at times. I can't always choose the absolute cheapest option because it's something that can't be done single-handedly. And renting a lot of equipment sure would help build the house, but that gets kind of expensive. So a lot of things have to be done by hand. So let's just jump right in. I chose a square floor plan because a square has the smallest perimeter, and that means shorter walls, which means less cost. A circle would be even less, but curved walls are very tricky to build. And I know from living in apartments all my life that I need about 600 square feet of space. Any less than that, and I'm starting to feel a little bit cramped and there's not enough room for all my stuff. So I started with a 25 by 25 square. But as I was playing with the design and trying to fit everything in, it ended up growing to about 30 feet by 30 feet. So 900 square foot floor plan. And that's plenty for a single person, but still a modest house size. A simple layout of 4 rooms is a good starting point. A living room, a kitchen, a bedroom, and a spare room for guests or an office. So we put in a couple of interior walls to separate the rooms. But I don't really need to separate the kitchen from the living room, so I can remove that wall and save some money and effort. But wait a minute, I need a bathroom, of course. So let's put that in between the 2 bedrooms. I played around with different layouts, but this worked best without changing the outer walls. Next, I needed some closet space and places to put wiring and utilities like a water heater and my solar system battery bank. I had a choice of where to put the closets. Grouping them together as much as possible and having them share walls with each other saves on materials. So I put them all in the center. And this can also help support the ridge line of my roof. I won't need to build any trusses because these interior walls can be load-bearing walls and hold up the roof. Next, I mark out my doors and make sure there's enough room for them and they'll open correctly. And finally, I put in exterior doors and windows. And that's it, a simple floor plan. That's enough to start building. And I can decide where to put interior fixtures like my toilet and bathtub and kitchen cabinets and things like that later. But I can start on building those walls and the roof. The sun is very strong here, and I'd like to use that to my advantage to heat in the winter. Winters aren't very cold out here. Even in the middle of the winter, daytime temperatures can be in the 50s. So I don't need much. The real problem is the heat of the summer. I need to make sure my walls and my windows are shaded in the summertime. So I need to design my roof overhangs to take both of those into account. It's easy to calculate the angle of the noon sun. In March and September, in the equinoxes, the angle is the same as my latitude, which is 32 degrees around here. In December at the solstice, the angle will be my latitude plus 23, so that's 55 degrees. And in June, for the summer solstice, it'll be my latitude minus 23, so only 9 degrees, which is almost directly overhead. I can find an online triangle calculator to get the other measurements I need. I know my walls are going to be 8 feet tall, so plugging in all the numbers, that means in the winter, the sun will stretch about 11 feet. And in the height of summer, it'll only shine about 15 inches from vertical. So I can use these two numbers and design that overhang. I've decided to make my overhang about 3 feet on that south side. To get the most out of solar heating, every room should have a south-facing window. But that doesn't really work with my square layout. So what I can do is bring the roof up on one side of the house and add some windows up above. So this will allow the sun to shine on the back wall. So the sun will shine on the floor on the south side of the house, and on the wall on the north side of the house, and they'll both get some warmth. Honestly, the sun is very, very strong here, and I'm a little worried about turning my house into an oven. The rule of thumb is to make your windows 10% of your floor space. So I'm going to have a 900 square foot house, so I want 90 square feet of south-facing windows, and that should keep it from overheating. But if I find it too hot, I can just put up some curtains or shutters. To build my walls, I want to find the easiest and cheapest solutions. And my fallback will be stick-built, 2x4s, plywood, things like that. I've already built a shed using that technique, and it's very doable for one person. It does get a little expensive though. You've got the 2x4 studs, then there's plywood sheeting, insulation, you've got drywall on the inside, and some sort of exterior coating like stucco or shingles. That all adds up after a while. So I was thinking just concrete. I can leave the concrete unfinished on both the inside and the outside with maybe just a coat of paint. So that'll save a little bit of money. Concrete block is pretty expensive. So I was thinking of using a slip form, which is a common technique around here. For example, if we look at the Pierce jail here, you can see it was poured in about 1 foot layers. So I can do something similar, and that way I can reuse the form and save on money. But I'd like to combine some insulation with that too. So I was thinking of using a foam core on the concrete wall. I should be able to just put the foam into the mold and pour concrete on both sides. I don't know, it's all experimental. If it doesn't work out, I can go back to the 2x4s and plywood. So that's what I've come up with so far. I hope you found it interesting. It's definitely a work in progress. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.